Well, they warned you. They warned us all, actually, me included. And yeah, stock up before it's too late. Now, folks, let me explain what I mean by stock up before it's too late because we first started this journey last year, around this time, actually, last year, where we were discussing food shortages. And these food shortages were a result of various attacks internationally, right here in this country as well. Sanctions placed, attacks on, the world's breadbasket, and a variety of other factors that were playing a major role in having huge impacts on the likelihood of Americans going hungry, going without. As we saw it left and right, day after day, news headlines, video uploads, YouTube video posts, channels that you guys watch on a regular basis showing grocery stores with empty shelves, food shortages, processing plants, manufacturing plants catching on fire, being shut down. It was almost like this stuff was, it's like a movie. They were making this stuff up for a movie. You couldn't believe it. It was almost too crazy to be true, but it was actually what was really happening. And at the time, I was a bit conflicted on the actual message that I wanted to bring to you all, as well as the strategies to prepare and plan for moving forward for the future. And as we can see now, fast forward, about a year later, food shortages and insecurities were somewhat misrepresented. Allow me to explain. It was a perceived shortage. It was a perception and also widespread alarming panic, worry, crisis spread by the media, mainstream media at that, and then further perpetuated and amplified and magnified by other reports, other accounts, perhaps maybe even the same information being shared more than once, making it seem like it's a much bigger problem than it really is. Food shortages did exist for the simple fact that you would go to a grocery store, Publix, Walmart's grocery section, Target if they had a grocery section, Kroger, Aldi, Lidl. It didn't really matter which one you went to. Whole Foods, Sam's Club, Costco, BJ's. The shortages would exist because the stores were built in a way where the shelves were so huge that they almost overstocked them. Remember, there was a time when they'd be like, "Hey, you guys got any extra in the back?" Well, stores quit doing that and they just put it in the front. So when the shelves look a little bit more bare than normal, it appears like there's a shortage. But at the end of the day, it was probably just pretty normal. And then the shortage would be isolated to perhaps maybe a particular size, quantity, brand, location. And I don't think very many people went without for the fact that it was just all gone. You had to make some concessions. You had to make some adjustments. You had to deviate. And some of this was intentional, pushed by the companies and manufacturers for a reason of profit and also getting rid of stuff that they didn't really want anymore that they would force people to buy. And here we are today. And I feel as though it's pretty clear that we're not necessarily at huge risk of a widespread pandemic of food shortage and insecurity for the lack of food, despite the worries last year. People stating that diesel fuel prices and diesel fuel shortage scares and supply scares and diesel fuel refineries and reserves of diesel fuel reductions were going to affect farming inputs, the higher prices for farmers, the droughts, the wildfires, the bird flu, the what was the other one? The fertilizer shortage crisis, the grain shortage, all these things. But here we are. You go to the store, you guys know, you go to the store, the food's there. Chicken's there, eggs are there. Ironically, at the height of the egg shortage was apparently created by the companies because the shortage was seen in stores of an egg crisis shortage at the time of a avian bird flu because they quit ordering eggs. They made it look like there was a shortage. But I digress. The point that I want to make to you guys is that what I think we're going to see moving forward is exactly what I shared with you guys last year. As I said, that I had a little bit of an internal struggle trying to bring you guys this information, but I was also wrong. So allow me to apologize, because what I told you at the time, and if you guys remember, or if you go and watch my older videos from last year, you may recall where I told you that the biggest problem we were going to face wasn't a food shortage problem because there wouldn't be any food. The biggest problem we were going to face would be a food shortage and insecurity individually at home because the prices were going to be too high. And this is before the Fed started raising interest rates. I didn't even know that. This is before the Fed started raising interest rates. So if we look now, hindsight's 2020, I mean, we can see inflation has driven prices up tremendously. Additionally, Walmart, the low price leader, one of the major grocery retail chains, or considered a grocery store, that had the highest price increases year over year. Talk about clickbait. I mean, they tell you they are the low price leader, but they don't have to really be the low price leader. They just say it. So you feel like it when you go in and you buy certain things and the price was rolled back and you feel good about the great value that you got, so to speak. But that was what I was trying to tell you guys last year, which was the insecurities, the possibilities of homes seeing empty shelves in their pantries, in their refrigerators, no food on the tables, concerns, the sounds of stomachs rumbling was going to be because they were going to make it so that food was too expensive. And they have done that. Now, granted, I'm sure a lot of you are still eating, but you may be eating differently, or have made some other adjustments financially because of these changes that have occurred. But here we are. And there's going to be a new threat, a new problem for which we should prepare. And it has a lot to do with stocking up. And I think that, honestly, I really do think that this has a lot to do with what's going on right now with the banking system, the dollar, almost as if they are preparing to destroy the dollar. But for what reason? Control. Much like the stores, the manufacturers, the retailers, mainstream media, the people pulling the strings behind the scenes, behind the curtain, they wanted to control us. They wanted to control our feelings. They wanted to control our money, and they wanted to control our reliance and dependence on the government, and now the World Economic Forum, the World Health Organization, the United Nations. But we've pushed back. And they've noticed. And now they're accelerating their plan. They're preparing for the next wave, which I honestly believe, much like I felt last year, the big problem was going to be moving forward, the higher prices. I think the big problem moving forward now is going to be the ability to purchase, the ability to stock up, the ability to stockpile and, prepare yourself and insulate yourself, a hedge. We've been talking about hedging against inflation with the prices going up by investing in physical assets like hard assets like gold and diversity, security, and cash flow. We've been talking about that. And Now we need to do that with a variety of different necessities and needs out there before they place limits and restrictions on this. And the way that they're going to do that is through the central bank digital currency, the CBDC, that will allow them the ability to have full control to monitor, track, trace, tax, prevent, restrict, set expiration dates, negative interest rates, the whole nine. Wipe out cash, move to a digital dollar, a Biden coin, CBDC. FedNow is being touted as this introductory into central bank digital currency, CBDC, which FedNow will begin in July, effective July. So before the date hits, before the day comes where the dollar is no more, as they are pushing for this, granted we have opposition, which is wonderful to try to fight this, but it's clearly obvious that the central bank, Janet Yellen, U.S. Treasury Secretary, Biden himself, Executive Order 14067, multiple other central banks around the world, a part of the World Economic Forum, the WEF, are pushing for this for ultimate control. So, folks, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a psychic. I'm just sharing with you guys what I think, what I see, how I feel. Similar to last year, how I thought we would be in this point today where they would ultimately try to wipe out people financially. Now I feel as though moving forward, they're going to try to wipe out people again financially, but more so by them having the ability to dictate and control and monitor and intrude and have unbelievable, overwhelming surveillance into everyone's lives, purchases, spending habits, and or abilities, savings, the ability to save, negative interest rates, wiping out savings accounts, private banks, as they're targeting, focusing on local, small, community, regional banks, saying they're not protected by FDIC, fully protected by FDIC like the big banks are. And then the big banks, or this inciting a bank run on the smaller banks, running all the money into the big banks, and then the big banks having full control with the support of the government before handing it all over to a central bank, maybe. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I don't really have a good feeling about it moving forward. And I feel as though I needed to share this information with you guys. Do with it as you may. I'm not telling you to run to the bank and take your money out. We've discussed the fragile mental construct of this fractional reserve banking system that we have, but I am going to be working on putting together more information for those who have been asking about the safety, about the risks, about what I'm doing, about what I mean by diversity, security, and cash flow. And if I were to break it down in just a very simple explanation, side note, I should have probably put this at the front of the video, but people have asked me to include in my videos to warn people that it's not me trying to contact them in the comment section to text them or WhatsApp them or anything like that. Folks, be careful. It's not just my channel. Every channel has bots and fake accounts and scams and spammers. Don't engage with the people in the comments like trying to get you to text them and call them. Don't do it. I actually had an email come through the other day from YouTube trying to get my information. It was a cleverly designed scam that looked really, really good. And honestly, I hate to say it, I think it actually came from YouTube. I think it was a scam built and designed, but sent from within YouTube. Maybe it was an employee, or maybe it was not. Maybe it was just an employee who got their account hacked and infiltrated. Because that's the thing. We can talk about that in another video. I'd actually like to bring a special guest on to have that conversation with you guys. But maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But we got to be careful. Am I rushing to take all of my money out of the bank? No. Am I continuously diversifying my funds that are in the banks? Yes. Do I put all my eggs in one basket? No. What's the best form of security? Multiple forms, really. Growing up in New York, we didn't have one lock on our door. We had like 3 or 4 locks on our door. Sometimes we had the little bar on the door. Sometimes we had the bar that went at an angle from the floor to the door. Our cars had locks built in by the manufacturer, but we also had the club that we would put on the steering wheel, or we'd have the other one. I don't remember the name of it, but it was from the steering wheel to the brake pedal. So you couldn't turn the steering wheel or depress the brake pedal to switch the gears. We had alarm systems on the cars. Like, the security is multiple forms of protection in addition to diversity. And then more importantly, the cash flow after the fact. Because if any of your resources, any of your capital, any of your funds, any of your money, any of your savings, any of your credit, any of these things are locked up, then the cash flow is going to be most important, because you always know that at some point in time you're going to have more coming in. Okay. All right. If I've got 200 grand in this account and it's frozen and it's locked, which they can and have done already, especially if you don't follow their rules. And we've seen this happen not too long ago, folks. We've seen this happen. Well, if those funds are frozen and locked up, well, guess what? Come Friday, I'll have more money that I'll either pick up or have sent somewhere else or whatever. That's the cash flow. But I think moving forward, I would definitely be looking at further developing my assets, as well as assets that produce cash flow. Because if I'm going to risk thousands of dollars, if I'm going to risk 10 grand, if I'm going to risk 50 grand, if I'm going to risk 100, 200, 300, if I'm going to risk $1 million, well, then I'd rather risk it in an actual asset that I own. And that asset has value, has worth, has insurance to protect it. We'll talk about that in another video. Produces cash flow, but guess what? It's not in the bank. I become my own bank at that point. But I also have to realize that money has to be in the bank for a variety of reasons. So it's a delicate balance. It's a constant monitoring and shift. And that is part of diversity. Diversity isn't literally just like one-stop shop. Diversity is continuous. So if you guys want to know more, by all means, feel free. Free links, 100% free links in the description down below. You can reach out. You can contact me. Comments, questions, concerns, drop them down below. On the way down there, give the video a like, smash the like button, subscribe, share this video with anybody, everybody you think it'd be helpful to. I really would appreciate it. And I'll continue to bring you guys more information, hopefully to help you guys prepare for what's coming, what's happening, what has happened in the past. Get ready, stock up, secure the bag, be your own bank, have diversity, have security, have cash flow, have the ability to pivot and not get wiped out with what's coming, because it is coming. I mean, I'm not going to lie. With Ron DeSantis making press release announcements about new legislation coming to Florida, and as he's calling on other states as well to prevent and block central bank digital currency, CBDC, you got to know that this is a big deal, and you got to know that it's happening. You got to know that. I would actually really like to get Trump's take on it, because he actually made a comment the other day about how he could fix things, how this country was actually dead, and how he could fix it from office, particularly one of which being, this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. But I really am curious what he would say about central bank digital currency and how he feels about it, what he thinks about it, especially with the implications that it has against capitalism and businesses, for which he, multi-billionaire through businesses, but also what he would do about it as president and or prevent it from happening as president. Maybe we'll get that information here soon. Until then, you all take care, be safe, be kind to one another, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye.